Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on Serheii Bohachuk, the new WBC Interim Super Welterweight Champion at 154 pounds, following his career best win, a dominating 12-round unanimous decision victory over Brian Mendoza, as Bohachuk captured the vacant interim title with that win on the March 30th Amazon Prime pay-per-view undercard of Sebastian Fundora and Tim Tszyu, as they fought to unify titles at 154. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this fight right here with Bohachuk and Mendoza came on about a week's notice, because Bohachuk was supposed to fight Sebastian Fundora next, and man, given the way, you know, given how vulnerable Fundora is and how he looked in his previous fight against Mendoza, where he was winning and then got brutally knocked out, and he still looks vulnerable even against Tim Tszyu, I would have been very interested in seeing how Fundora and Bohachuk would have shook out. But didn't happen. He had to fight Mendoza on short notice, who is a very solid super welterweight still, even though Mendoza lost to Tim Tszyu, and Bohachuk dominated. He dominated Brian Mendoza way more convincing than even Tim Tszyu did. So, you know, but again, the fight was on short notice. So, you know, and styles make fights as well. So you can't really judge, you know, Tim Tszyu too harshly. But it was a good coming out performance for Bohachuk. So now the big question is, what's next for him? So we start with, of course, the new top guy, the guy he should have fought, Sebastian Fundora, the new unified champ. Now, Bohachuk's the interim champ in the WBC, and now Fundora is the WBC and WBO unified champ. Is Bohachuk an option for Fundora next? Maybe, but I'm leaning towards the less likely. I think Errol Spence or Crawford or Tszyu is going to get Fundora in the ring first. That's my honest opinion on it. But if Fundora wants to come back end of September, October, doesn't want to wait around for the rematch with Tszyu, or is not you know, obligated to fight Crawford, or decides not to go the Spence route, I think Bohachuk is an option because he's with the PBC as well. But I'm leaning towards the less likely on this fight. We look at Tim Tszyu. I don't think Tim Tszyu, the former champ now, would want to fight a guy like Bohachuk, and Bohachuk would likely have to wait until until December for a showdown with Tszyu. I'm hearing Tszyu, because of that bad cut, it's going to be a while before he can come back. So I don't think this fight's on the table next, and I don't think Tim Tszyu would want to risk that anyways. You know, not yet anyways. Jermell Charlo, the former undisputed champion, he's not going to come back against a guy like Bohachuk in his first fight back following the loss to Canelo. So I don't see that one as a possibility. A rematch with Brian Mendoza is not needed. He dominated Mendoza. Mendoza is the one that took the fight on short notice, so it's not needed. There'd be no point in it. I don't see that one. A showdown with Erickson Lubin. Now, here's where things get interesting. I definitely think this is a possibility. Lubin wants a title shot. He wants to get back in the mix. He wants a rematch with Fundora. He wants those big fights. And he would have to beat a guy like Bohachuk to get there. And I think he'd be willing to fight him for that interim belt, because it puts him a hiccup away from a showdown for a title. So I do think Erickson Lubin might be interested in that fight. Then there is Jesus Ramos, another one that I think might fight Bohachuk. Ramos is coming off that loss to what's his name? To Erickson Lubin in what was a controversial fight. You know, it could have went either way, but he suffered the decision loss. That was the first of his career, but he also holds a convincing win over Brian Mendoza back in 2021. So, and he's a PBC guy, and I think it'd be an all-action fight. So I think it's a fight that Ramos might be willing to take, and I think Bohachuk would definitely take it in order to continue building a resume ahead of a bigger fight and an eventual title shot, because it would be for the interim belt. Then you got then you got Israel Madrimov, the WBA champion. If Bohachuk was willing to cross the street and Eddie Hearn wanted to make that fight, I think they might be able to do it, but I'm not sure the two sides want to get together for a fight like this. And Madrimov's a champion, so Bohachuk would have to go to him. And I just think Eddie Hearn is going to try to set him up with bigger name fighters to fight first. Madrimov. Michel Soro, the veteran. I'm ruling it out because Bohachuk's not a big name. Soro might not want to come over to the United States to fight Bohachuk. He's a fighter that fights out of France. I think he might only want to do that for a big name opponent or for a title shot. So I'm not seeing this one. Yoenis Tellez is just not there yet in terms of these guys taking a risk on a fighter like him. So I'm going to lean towards a no there. Terrence Crawford, not likely he's going to fight a guy like Bohachuk. Almost for sure. Errol Spence Jr., no, I don't see him going in against a guy like Bohachuk either. Charles Conwell, this one's interesting. He's a WBC's #1 ranked contender. And Bohachuk's the interim champ. Conwell has a fight on April 20th on the Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia undercard. After that, would the WBC order Bohachuk to fight Conwell, to determine their true interim champion and mandatory challenger? I think they might. So I do think this one's possible. Bakram Murtalazayev, the new IBF champion, has worked with the PBC before. Would the PBC want to put their interim champ in the WBC against, what's his name? I'm leaning towards the less likely, but I'm not going to say that it's not possible. Because Murtalazayev has been there before. Bohachuk's an entertaining fighter. They might want to get one of their belts on a more attractive fighter that's on the rise. So I do think it's possible. Josh Kelly, the WBO's #1 ranked contender. No, because he's a Matchroom guy and he's already ranked highly to get a title shot, so he doesn't need Bohachuk and Bohachuk doesn't need him. Jack Colkay, the veteran, coming off the loss to Murtalazayev, I don't see it. Virgil Ortiz, he's highly rated in the WBA and he's also with DAZN and Golden Boy. The two sides won't come together for a fight like that when there's no title at stake. Xander Zayas, same thing. He's with Top Rank, ESPN. He's undefeated. And he's highly rated by another governing body, so I don't think him and Bohachuk don't need each other right now. It's across the street. James Metcalf, I don't see it. Takeshi Inoue, I don't see that. Radza Butayev is interesting because he's a PBC guy as well, so maybe they could match him up. But I really think for Bohachuk, maybe there's an outside chance at Fundora. I think realistically for a title, I think Bakram Murtalazayev is the most likely option because he's worked with the PBC before. He's fought on a bunch of their undercards. And then in terms of just like other name opponents, I think Erickson Lubin is a possibility. I think, what's his name? Jesus Ramos is a good possibility. We just got to wait and see who is the front runner to potentially land that fight, or land a fight with Bohachuk. Who he's willing to fight, who's willing to fight him is more the thing I'm thinking about, because I don't know if there's going to be a long list of guys willing to fight him, but because he does have a trinket, which is the WBC interim belt, somebody might be willing and sign up and go, fuck it, I'll fight him. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on the newly crowned WBC interim champion, Serheii Bohachuk, following that loss, that following that convincing unanimous decision victory over Brian Mendoza to capture the vacant WBC interim title. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.